Hello and welcome back to Hey Radio Marin. I'm your host, Kimberly Escobar, joined with my co-host.
Javier Vicuna.
And on today's show, we have Gabby Agar, who is a recent graduate from the University of Reno in a master's program for public health and is now working with Blue Path Health with Marin 9 to 25 as the program coordinator. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much, Kimberly. And hello, everyone who is listening today. My name is Gabby, and I work on Marin 9 to 25, specifically our Find Your Way, which is our youth wellness program that is created by youth for youth in Marin County. We recently put out a resource guide that is both digital and printed so that we can provide accessible, reliable, and immediate support for youth here in Marin County. And my passion truly lies within health equity and justice, and most of all, youth advocacy.
Thank you so much. And before we get started, we always do a little icebreaker question. Yeah. And my icebreaker came from one of my old teachers. I went to go visit my old high school because I had like a meeting thing with one of them. So I just went to go visit all of them. And one of them reminded me, he always does this thing in high school where he would say, what's one high and one low? So my question is, what's one high and one low you have of either today or the past month?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I would say in terms of, having February just ended, I would say a high is coming back at the beginning of this month to officially start my role on Find Your Way under Blue Path as an official employee. I took a month off after I graduated with my master's in public health in December. And so it was so great to just come back refreshed, renewed, and spent some great quality time with my family. And so starting this February with working alongside Nancy Vernon, who has an infectious, positive energy if anyone has ever met her, and jumping back in and seeing the youth again has been a high. And I would say a low for me would just be adjusting to my schedule. I mean, having been off since the holidays through the whole month of January and doing whatever I wanted, and now going back to my 9 to 5 and everything like that, just having to restructure things. But at the end of the day, this is really what I love to do. So, just thankful for that.
Thank
I think for myself, the highest point right now for this month, I'll say for this month, was definitely finishing up recording a lot of the music that we've been doing here. It's been a big learning experience, really adjusting to this space and really, again, working with different artists and like understanding what they want, what I want, and just coming to like an agreement. Because there can be a lot of creative differences in the recording process, and it can get a little frustrating. But I'm glad that ultimately I'm feeling really good with all the projects that I've been recording here, and I'm really excited to hopefully display them here on Tay or anywhere else soon. Because I think it's a really really high point for me this month. And as for a low, I'll definitely say this weather. I have not been a fan of this weather right now. It's just like it's randomly really, really cold, or it starts raining super hard, and then it's super sunny, and then it just switches. Like it's just we're having weather that
you gotta wear
can't
layers.
decide what it is exactly.
I wore one sweater today and I was freezing. Freezing.
So yeah, that's kind of been the lowest. Definitely the weather this month.
I feel like the weather always just brings everyone down.
Or I guess in February, we're in March now, so.
I know.
Yeah.
And like now also like in Tahoe, I think it's like raining like up to 7 feet of snow. No, 7 inches of snow. And that's, oh my gosh, that's way too much. And it's, I don't know, having school and like the weather just makes me not want to study, makes me want to just go to bed. Like I was studying with my friend literally before this, and we were at her house though. Then we stopped studying because we were both tired, and she literally went to bed. and I was just there. But yeah, the weather's not it. And for myself, I would say a high for me is that I've recently feel like I've been like the past month been putting my friends like not first, but like being able to hang out with my friends a lot more often than like I have before, and like hanging out with them like at least like twice a week, which is like really nice. And I feel like it gives me a break from like the school life and like when I have work too. And it's just like a break, and it's like my mood is just so much happier when I'm like hanging out with my friends. And I would say low is school. Just because I have midterms next week and I'm kind of stressing.
How fun.
It's not fun. But yeah. Okay, now we're going to move on, and we're just going to talk more about Marin 9 to 25. And I didn't really realize that. So Blue Path is the head of Marin 9 to 25. Or no?
I would say it's Blue Path is the backbone staff for Marin 9 to 25. And so if you look on our website, it says that Marin 9 to 25 is a collective of youth and adults trying to realize positive health outcomes for youth ages 9 to 25. And I totally get that can be very vague, because positive health outcomes can mean so many things. Are we getting there? How are we targeting that? And so having Blue Path be the backbone staff, and then I would say the rest of our team is made up of like our advisory team, which includes like our partners here at Multicultural Center Marin, at the Office of Education, Behavioral Health Services in Marin too. At the end of the day, we are a coalition, and while Nancy and I are the two main people that are continuing the work here at Marin 9 to 25, I want to emphasize that it totally is a group effort. And at the end of the day, the core of it is the youth. So everything that we do was either, vetted by youth or was a youth idea. And us as adults really just try to co-lead with them.
Oh, that's nice. I was just going to mention, I love how things are like with us, our program is run by youth and for youth as well, and I just love that, because it's like you don't feel that pressure from like someone in higher power or something making you do something and like things you don't want.
Like the authority is the youth. Like them.
Technically, Blue Path is a healthcare technology consulting company and health policy, and so while technically I'm a consultant, I like to call the youth sort of like my mini bosses. Or technically, my clients, Nancy and I's clients, and we just try our best to idealize, or come into fruition whatever ideas that they have in terms of like what their passion projects are, and helping them, make that happen.
Okay.
And could you talk a bit more about the Find Your Way Marin and what that is? It is a part of Marin 9 to 25.
Yes. So I want to just preface this by saying that we're continuing to define Find Your Way underneath Marin 9 to 25. We're actually going to be having a strategy meeting next week with our youth to sort of revisit it, because I want to just mention that Marin 9 to 25 is only 2 years old now. I'm about to go on 3.
I remember when I was there when it first started. I remember
when it used to be called the Youth Visioning Work Group.
It was.
Yeah, and so I'll go back into the history. So my internship with Marin 9 to 25 started last January, so it's been a year. And I was brought on to help facilitate with their youth visioning work group, which was only meeting monthly at that time. And we were just starting to think about the resource guide. And the idea of the resource guide came from the Fentanyl Call to Action Youth Summit meeting, I believe, in that previous September, so September 2022. And there was a call for just having a youth resource guide. And then at that time, it was separate from the youth visioning work group. It was like 2 different projects. And what we ended up realizing is that Find Your Way, which ended up becoming the name of our resource guide and the team behind it, or the name of our campaign, it just became bigger than we imagined. So that's why it absorbed our youth visioning work group. So now it's just called Find Your Way Visioning Group for our youth that meets in person. And while, on our website, our mission statement talks about, providing reliable, accessible, and immediate support for youth, we do so much more than just the resource guide. We have so many other projects, such as one of our youth is planning a May Fun Run, which will be a 5K to help, end overdose, as well as another project on putting the 988 suicide crisis text line or lifeline on athletes' bag tags and having our Find Your Way resource guide QR code pasted on the back. And again, all these projects and ideas came from youth. So while we say that we are a youth wellness program, wellness means many different things. And because of that, we allow the youth to define that.
I love that.
And part of the Find Your Way, Marin, is now a scholarship internship program type of application. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So my intentions when I first started as an intern for my master's in public health program, I was to have 2 project deliverables. And my first project deliverable was working on the Find Your Way resource guide and starting the Find Your Way scholarship program. And that was through me conducting different interviews or a bunch of interviews with our youth in the visioning work group at that time, because we saw that there was just an influx of people being a part of it. Because while we say that we're trying to reach youth ages 9 to 25, our meeting structures at that time were not,
Being met.
being met or encompassing all youth ages 9 to 25. And of course, the majority of the youth that were joining were mostly high schoolers as well. And so with that said, the data that I got from those meetings was that at the end of the day, these youth are looking for a place to meet like-minded people, to build a community, to receive volunteer hours, to learn about other opportunities that are in their community, and meeting monthly and sort of requiring that and then giving people gift cards for attending your events here and there just didn't seem efficient, nor really was it stable, because we weren't having our main core group of people continuing to come, and we wanted to continue to grow that. And so when we worked on coming up with the Find Your Way scholarship, working with the youth on that, we realized hey, let's not have if anything, not many in-person activities, because at the end of the day, the youth that are coming here are youth that are a part of so many other things. And at the end of the day, what we want to do is to provide an opportunity for them to get paid for the work that they're doing, because in a lot of organizations, they don't pay you for the hard work that you're pushing out. I mean, I was a part of a very similar program when I was in high school, similar to Find Your Way, and I wish I got paid. I wish I got at least some sort of stipend. And so that's why our requirements are pretty much lax. The only main one is that you're a part of a community initiative or program. And if you're not, then join Find Your Way. At the end of the day, we're really not trying to have any barriers to have youth access this scholarship. And as we, just launched this past year, I think it'll be really interesting in the future to see the impact that it's had, and whether offering the stipend also encourages youth to continue to be more involved in their community.
I love that. Yeah, I realized that what was I kind of want you to go back a little bit on the history of it, just because I started remembering Marin 925, and I got an email from, I believe, Diango, because you guys work a lot with the Multicultural Center, and Diango had told me about it. And I don't know, were you there from the beginning as well?
Yeah, I remember one of my first meetings was in a focus group with you.
Oh, really?
And we were being split up into the different categories for the resource guide. And I think
this was in person, right?
Yeah, in person here.
That's when I first met you. Yes.
Yeah. And so what's it called? So it was interesting because while we were having those youth visioning work group meetings, which are monthly, we were having like weekly meetings with the youth that wanted to work on the Find Your Way resource guide. And that started like last year, like February, March. And we got to work with the Lead Yards, which is an outside marketing or agency, brand agency, and they taught the youth how to create a brand. How do you create a logo? And it started, just having conversations of throwing on the board, like what's it called? What's a word that you want to describe it as? And then eventually it became Find Your Way. Like at the end of the day, we want this resource guide to help youth find their way. And then teaching the youth how to use like Adobe Illustrator and like, what do you think a logo would look like? And
so Find Your Way is more than, I guess, like wellness. Or
I would say Find Your Way is, and again, why it's called Find Your Way is because we realize that every youth has a different journey. You know what I mean? Everyone's on different paths and you never know what people are going through. So, all we want to do is just to help you find your way and whatever that means. And of course, like at the center of that is wellness, your overall wellness.
And that's so important to have because I feel like when I was a youth, I didn't have these types of resources available. And I really, I wanted to learn more about audio or learn more about video, but I needed to sign up for the media. I went to Centerville High Schools and they had like a media academy. But you need to like have a certain GPA in order to join the media academy, and you had to like have a whole bunch of prerequisites. So I was like out of luck. I couldn't actually be a part of it. So that really sucked because I felt like I was limited, even though I wanted to accomplish this, but I was limited by these prereqs that they put in a high school program. This Find Your Way Marin app and this resource guide seems like a really good solution for those youth who again might not have the ability to even be part of these academies or these special classes or even the funds for these classes as well. Because again, it's just starting with the opportunity to give youth, okay, here you go. Here's this. Start with this. Just a starting place for them to learn.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think that's why, having your partnership is so important. It's something that I'm currently trying to grow right now. And what I started on last year, towards the end of my internship, I really wanted to grow the amount of transitional age youth within our program and seeing how they fit within that. And also realizing that like there just needs to be a community of transitional age youth who are working here in Marin, you know, because a lot of times, especially when you work for youth organizations or nonprofits, you're like the youngest person there.
That's how I feel.
Well, most of the nonprofits here in Marin, they're run by much older people.
Exactly. And I think we should stick together. And I think like we should build community. And from there, the way that we're seeing it is through mentorship. And so like, for example, through you, if youth want to learn about music and learn about that, then we'll direct them to you. If youth want to work on social media and want to learn about marketing, then they can work with me. We also have Colin at OD Free Marin if youth want to work in substance use. And it's really important to, I think, have people our age being able to work with youth because not only is it like I feel like you're just more relatable, and hopefully, I feel like for me, like that's what was so important at that time when I was like in a program like this was that my mentors were like not too far in age from me. So like they still understood like what I was going through and everything like that. And so going back to Find Your Way, again, we're really just there as a connector, as a network. We're not trying to rebuild anything or, reinvent the wheel. We're just sort of trying to build off of what everyone else is like doing and just trying to bring that together. Because at the end of the day, there are so many gaps in terms of access to services, so many barriers. And so what if there was just one place, one hub where you can be directed into whatever it is that you need?
Yeah, that's really nice. And as you mentioned, with you guys being like reaching out to certain age groups and like them not coming back and everything, like recently, how has that been? Like being able to like tell people about Find Your Way. How do you guys do that?
Yeah,
bring people in more.
Yeah, I mean, this past year we've like, especially starting like last November, we've had like consistent group of youth, like maybe like 15 to 20 people at every meeting that we've had.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that draws people is that we do provide dinner. So it's like,
that's one way to bring people
exactly,
in. Food.
yeah, food. And again, the lovely Nancy Vernon, she is our transportation.
Is she the ED of Marin 925?
So yes, it's like kind of complicated because under Blue Path, I think she's she's an advisor. That's her title.
Wind.
It's raining hard out there right now.
Oh God.
Anyways,
Okay, yeah.
that's what you're saying.
Yeah, so her title under Blue Path is an advisor, and again, like my title is an associate, so like it doesn't really encompass what we really do. But I would say Nancy is like the boss. She's like CEO. She's like she has taken over a lot of the Marin 925 work since she left the county and joined us, and so Nancy also like helped provide rides for youth as well. That's another thing we want to hopefully implement is like, I don't know, maybe having like a Find Your Way bus. I don't know.
You're gonna drive the bus?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We find somebody. And I would say also what draws youth in is having their friends. And so when we put out the Find Your Way scholarship, we just told them like, just ask your friends to sign up. And what's great is also like seeing people make friendships during our meetings too, and coming back because of that. And also I would say having our youth co-chair Sammy lead the meetings as well is just also a key component. Again, just bringing back that youth voice, making sure that's in there, and on top of it all, it's really just been through our Find Your Way scholarship. And I will say, like, when you sign up for our Find Your Way scholarship, it's required for you to do a check-in with me. And that's really just, again, for me to, like, recognize this youth, learn about where they're coming from. I'm like, this is not an interview. You got the scholarship. It's all good. I just want to know, like, what you're passionate about, what you do, and how can I connect you to more of that? For example, I talked to one of our scholarship recipients today, and she was like, I joined MCYC, I joined this and that. And it was because I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about, racial equity and substance use. And then from there, I was like, oh my gosh, we have these projects that you may be interested in this. And at the end of the day, I always emphasize at the end of those calls that, hopefully me talking to them in person will, build at least a little bit or some type of trust. Like you have a face to put to Find Your Way, and know that, that I can be like a trusted adult or a trusted ally. And that at the end of the day, we are a wellness program. So, if they can't make meetings or anything, it's totally fine. At the end of the day, we just want to do what's best for the youth in terms of meeting their needs and meeting them where they're at.
And how can youth sign up for this scholarship?
Yeah, so if
it's actually in the description of the show right now as well.
Oh, there you
for
go.
The application.
So please fill it out. We're gonna close it on March 6th, and it's for $250 from this month, from March to July. And what I would suggest is to sign up for our fall scholarship, because that one is for the full year.
I see.
If you sign up in the fall, then it would be through October through that next July.
So if someone signs up for the spring scholarship, they'll just have to re-sign up in the fall again?
Yeah, if they want the full 500. So that's why for spring we're only offering 250, because that's the other half.
Oh yeah, because then if you do it in the fall, you get the whole amount just split into fall and spring.
Exactly. Yeah.
So spring you'd only get half of it.
And then just to put a website, so it's marin9to25.org.
Yes.
And you'll be able to find the Find Your Way Marin scholarship application there, which is actually, its deadline is on March 6th? March 6th.
Yes.
And on the Marin 925, you will find your way as well. The digital resource guide and the printed resource guide. I wanted you to talk a little more about the digital resource guide because I was looking at it and like it seems pretty easy to navigate, but I just want you to talk a little more about it on like, because it first asks you, is it an emergency? Is it not an emergency?
Yeah. I would love to walk you through it. So when you enter our website, and please keep in mind that this is an ongoing project. Nancy and I, we're constantly meeting with different partners and learning about new programs and asking their opinions on it. Because at the end of the day, we want this resource guide to be accessible and also to be, make sure like if there's any resource that is not applicable to be off of there. And so when you enter the website, you say like, is it an emergency or is it a non-emergency? And if you click emergency, it'll take you to a lot of crisis lines, and those are split up into even more categories. Like, is your emergency for violence? Is your emergency, I think it's for like mental health or like suicidality. And other ones that I'm probably forgetting. And then if you go to non-emergency, and again, it's asking if it's for you or someone else. And either way, whichever you decide for you or someone else, that's just to give you an option because we know that it's scary. We know that it's scary to ask for help and and everything like that. It won't affect you like in terms of like what resources will come up. It will be the same whether you choose me or someone else. But from there, our categories will pop up such as like mental health, basic needs, academic and career. And then when you click those, there's subcategories. So like for mental health, there's like where to get help. There is, do you just want to get information? Do you want to get treatment or therapy? Or also in every single one of those categories, there's always a TAY subcategory. And the reason why we added that is because we didn't want to make the resource guide, I guess, targeting for, I guess, including TAY because we felt like it may take away from the youth aspect because then it's like, now it's like an adult resource guide, so that's why we added the subcategory, like if you are TAY, like specific TAY resources that are
What does your guys' TAY stand for?
Transitional age youth.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Same as ours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 to 26.
I saw that, but I wasn't sure if it meant the same or not.
Yes, that's
I think what changes through TAY, it usually just means transitional age youth, but I think what changes between people is the age range.
Yeah, it's like 18 to 26, 18 to 25.
A lot of these are 18 to 25. Or is it mistaken? Or it's because it says TAY ages 18 to 25 for like most of these resources that I see.
Yeah, so we wanted TAY for every single category. So that's why it's in every
okay.
So that there's always a TAY. There's always a transitional age youth resource for all of our categories.
Not leaving anyone out.
Yeah. Exactly. I would also say when you're also on the front page, on the first page, on the bottom right, it can be hard to miss, but it gives you instructions if you need Spanish interpretations. And that's something I want to say we're currently working on because on the website, it just gives you instructions on how to change your browser language because that's how it'll automatically change. But what we plan to do is to actually translate it so that it is relatable and having a focus group of Spanish speakers to review it and to do that. But that is the option right now in terms of having it be in Spanish. As for our printed resource guide, that one is also translated in Spanish and is on the website. And that one is more about if youth are thinking about getting help because our printed resource guide just has testimonials. It has explanations as to why it's important to get mental health and how to reduce stigma, how to start a conversation. Because at the end of the day, what we realized is that youth will turn to their peers for help rather than an adult. And that's, totally understandable. But it's really hard, when you're just 16 and not knowing what to do and, oh my gosh, I want to help my friend or you want to get help yourself. And how do you navigate that? That is so big. And so going back to our digital resource guide, all of our resources that are listed on there, what's it called? Don't require you to have your parents or guardians' permission. We try to make sure that every resource listed on there too has direct services. So like a youth can call any one of these services and they would help you.
Yeah.
And that's also like a requirement if you want to be in the resource guide, is that you have to be directly serving youth. You have to be equitable.
Right.
Provide that safety for the youth, and also on the resource guide, it says like whether this service is confidential or private. And what I want to say the difference is that if it's confidential, like no one knows this information. It's just between you and that provider. Whereas if it's private, it is private, but they may share your information along their colleagues. But you know what I mean in terms of maybe diagnosis or something like that. Right. And that's the difference between the two.
Case by case basis.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought the private meant like the organization is private.
I know.
That's what I thought it meant.
That can be confusing. And again, like we're continuing to work on making this resource guide, more accessible, more clean. Because from what I heard before I got on the team, they were like, "Oh, we thought we can get this done in 2 months." And it took a whole year.
I know. I remember. I remember going to some of the meetings, or they would ask us like, "Oh, does this look good? Like, what about saying this?" And then everyone would like have like big conversations on like why like you shouldn't say that and why you should say this instead.
Yeah, exactly. And
just because a lot of things could be interpreted differently. So
exactly, and that's the process that we want to start happening for the Spanish version, because even though that you can translate your browser, it still won't be accessible, right? Yeah. If it's not relatable or anything like that.
Yeah. That is true. Okay, thank you. And right now we'll just be going into a quick PSA and into our song, and then I'll be back with the PSA and we'll be back with Gabby. Thank you. Sorry. Like over here. Okay, I'm going to play this song. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Evolving wings. Yeah. I'm a genius, original purpose, resurrect like the phoenix. From the mother lotus emerges, no longer feel worthless. To be a service to purpose, it's evolving wings por vida. Got them all like Nita, eternal play in the brain, got me insane. Explain the pain, your seat's pain. My soul wounded, some wounds can't be computed. God's great shadows meet the darkest alley. Demons came for me, but archangels parried. Swift swings, shut the souls rapidly. Call it horror meets fantasy. Lower energies move like cavities. Sucker MCs, no substance. Ignore the earth's cry. Sucker MCs, no substance. Don't realize we never die. Misguided by subsidized lies. I'm guided by my ancestors' war cries. Vocal floor spitting truth, encouraging your spine. Evolving wings is manifesting your divine. Don't give up, fly. Compassionate campaign, my sole purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate campaign, my sole purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate campaign, my sole purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate campaign, my sole purpose. Wings up, wings up. Fui bendecido por los grandes que fincan cuatro paredes, no pudieron descifrar esta trivia.
All right. So that was our good friend Evolving Wings, his song Soul Purpose with Boca Floja. It's available on all streaming platforms. So go check out Soul Purpose by Evolving Wings, and shout out again to our good friend Ismael. So I just wanted to do a quick announcement that open mic nights are back here at the Multicultural Center Marin. They are the last Friday of every month, and our next open mic will be on March 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. So again, it is a great space for you to just meet new artists, meet local artists, collaborate with people, and just have a good time. It's been some really good times these past few open mics, and I appreciate everyone who's come and checked them out. I also did want to mention again that the Teen Girl Conference is this Sunday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Tay Radio will be tabling at this event.
And Marin 925.
And Marin 925 will be there as well. So it'll be a big, exciting event. Again, it's open to all teen girls, everyone who identifies as a girl, to be able to just come and have a great time at this conference.
Yeah. Santi and I will both be there. and we're going to be interviewing some of you. So make sure to come by if you want to have an experience and hopefully maybe be on the show as well.
Absolutely. All right. So there's that. And then actually segueing into back to the Find Your Way Marin program, I wanted to also reiterate that there is a Find Your Way and Friends event on March 4th. So that's next week in a couple days, on Monday, March 4th, here at the Multicultural Center of Marin. We're located at 709 Fifth Avenue here in San Rafael. And it is from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. You could add a more...
Yes. So while it is 5:30 to 7:30, highly recommend you come at 5 p.m. if you would love to eat some soul food. We will be having soul food to cater us. And as a bit of background or context, so Find Your Way and Friends is a networking event that we're putting on for different youth organizations to get together and just talk about, what it is that they're doing, the amazing work that they're putting out there, see if there's any opportunities for people to join. And like, for example, what we're going to be doing is like having everyone create a poster about, the work that they do. And then from there, we're going to have a networking session where people can just talk and exchange information. When planning this event, at first we really wanted to do like a youth summit or something, but we really wanted at the end of the day when we talk to the youth to have something more casual, more relaxed. And so we hope to see you there. Again, visit our website, marin925.com. If you scroll down on our homepage to like events and opportunities, it should be listed there. Although, the deadline has passed to register, you still can. We're not going to order the food till the day of. So, so we'll check it the day of and order the food. So just want to make sure we cover that for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
And you can RSVP on the website, the
Yes.
marina25.org website. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Gabby.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, seems like
okay.
it's going to be great.
Yeah, it
wish
looks like
I could go.
a lot of fun. I'll definitely be there too. So I'm excited and looking forward to that. But yeah, so thank you so much, Gabby, for explaining to us just what Find Your Way Marin is, what Marin 25 is. And again, it's all just really, really great work. But we actually wanted to dedicate the second half of the show to learning more about your background and like why do you do this work even in the first place? I guess we can start there before we kind of delve into your history.
Wow, where do I even start? I mean, I was born and raised in Sacramento, California. Shout out the 916. I once I graduated high school, I committed to Dominican University of California here in San Rafael. And I started off as a biological sciences major at Dominican. In high school, I was a part of their biotechnology academy and thought I wanted to be a clinical lab scientist.
Yeah.
While at Dominican and taking all the bio classes and the labs and stuff, we had a great opportunity to do research rounds where for a week we would work with a different professor on a different subject.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, we would like submit our application to who we wanted to work with in terms of, our research. And through each of those sessions, I realized more and more that it just wasn't for me. And kind of had just a moment of like, whose standards am I living to?
Yeah.
What am I really trying to do here? Because at the end of the day, I think, in high school, I did a lot of community work. I was part of the Teen Action Committee, which was ran by my city's Parks and Rec program. And still to this day, one of my greatest accomplishments was planning a diversity day in my town. And I got my teacher to be our keynote speaker. And I brought back a lot of the knowledge that I took from the National Teen Leadership Program that I would attend every summer in Sacramento, and brought that to my town, to my city. And it was really just a day for us to do different workshops, to break down stereotypes, to come together, because within my school district, there was 6 different high schools, and we all barely talked to each other. And of course, like there's high school rivalry and all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, there's so much more to that, and like, why is that stopping you from making a connection? And one of the things I took from the teen leadership conference was like, you know, do you want to be a warrior or do you want to be a worrier? And
I like that.
and so that really just got me on fire in terms of like, I want to speak up for people. I want to like bring people together. There's so much power within community. And so I planned that event my senior year. And then once I left, it's now an annual event that they do, which is super cool. And so when I went to college and doing biological sciences, I kind of had just, I don't know, a little crisis, a little, I guess, a major crisis in terms of like my college major.
I'm glad you're bringing that up because it's really common to switch majors, and there's
really
nothing
common.
wrong with switching majors either.
No.
I feel like a lot of people feel really bad when they do that, but it's just like, no, like if you just simply don't like the major that you're in, then why waste your own time, right?
And why do it for your whole life?
Exactly.
Exactly. And I knew that about myself. And that was one of the reasons why I chose Dominican, is because it is a small school. And I knew that if I wanted to change my major, it would be a lot more easier to switch at Dominican because they have smaller classes. Therefore, it was easier for me to get into classes. But again, you're also paying for this knowing that it is a private college.
Did you know anything about San Rafael when you
Not
signed up?
Not really.
Really, right?
No, I just learned about the school. You know, they reached out to me and stuff, and I learned about their 4+1 program, which was I was going to do 4 years biological sciences and then stay there for one more year to get my master's in clinical lab science. And I was like, okay, that's dope. Like, and also I knew like I'm not about to be in school for 6 years. Like I also knew that the CSU was just not for me. I knew that I was smart, but I knew that in a class full of like 500 people, I would not stand out. And I think also coming from a big city like Sacramento, coming to a smaller school was just intriguing. And of course, there's like pros and cons of like, yeah, there's community, but then also it's like, well, I kind of know everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can relate to that just growing up in Marin. It is a small town. And so when I came to visit, what really caught my eye was really just the beautiful nature around here. And because I got into, what's it called? They offered me the most money in terms of scholarship wise. And then I got into their leadership program, which was called Torch, their Torch leadership program. And that was when I got to go to campus and move in a week before school started and create bonds with people and learn how to be a leader in our community. And one of the things I took away from that is that we did this exercise where we went to the San Rafael Farmers Market and we were left with the prompt of like, who is the other and what does other mean? And it was about like, who are the people you see here at this farmers market that are being ignored, that are being treated differently? And what does that mean? And how can we, you know, as like the next generation, you know, address that? And that's through, again, community, through recognizing others, through knowing that, you know, we can go beyond our differences.
Well, from that assignment, what did you get? Like, what did you find?
Oh, well, what I found is that I remember one of the things that I took away was that there was people ignoring a man that was just speaking in Spanish. No one wanted to talk to him, you know, and or no one wanted to either like go to his like his vendor,
stand.
his like stand, yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
And also it was, I will say, it was culture shock coming to Marin at the same time.
Why a culture shock?
I guess it would just say because of
How not diverse it is?
yeah, diversity and everything like that.
I feel like it's very, in terms in some areas, it's very segregated. Definitely.
Yes, 100%.
When we look at the canal, right?
Canal,
Yeah.
Marin City,
And you know,
and
the,
Novato.
the city has been doing a big thing where they really want to like make the farmers market like accessible to the canal,
Yeah.
the East
Yeah.
San Rafael. Canal is referring to East San Rafael. But it's just so hard because it's so disconnected from 4th Street, from what is the main San Rafael, right? From downtown San
Yeah.
Rafael. So it's just really tough
Yeah.
to do that. What I have seen has happened is that they have been a lot better with giving business licenses to these street vendors in
Oh, that's
Canal.
amazing. Yeah.
Which has been really, really great. But again, it's just, for me, it's always just been an issue, like trying to bring people from Canal to the farmers market. Also, being in the farmers market's really expensive to even like put up a booth.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm
You
not
have to pay for
surprised.
it?
Yeah, you have to pay for
Yeah,
the
you have to pay
spot.
for
I didn't
that.
even know
Yeah,
that.
you have to pay for the spot. And also, a lot of personally for me, when I was growing up, my parents didn't really want to go to the farmers market because everything was so damn expensive.
Yeah, that was another
Everything
thing.
was so expensive at the
Everything was
farmers market.
expensive.
So we'd rather go to our local grocery store, right, to go get stuff. And it's just not. It's just not. Again, it's always been a thing. And even when I go to the farmers market now, I'm just like, dang, this is still
really expensive.
really expensive. But
Well,
it's like, I get it. It's natural ingredients, all farm.
Yeah.
I get it.
And it's like we also live in a really, really rich county.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
This is a really, really rich
Yeah.
county.
It's like the second richest county
in
I believe
California.
in California.
Something
Second
like
or
that.
first richest county.
Just
Just crazy. I'm like, how am I even living here?
And just to actually, Santi actually just reiterated to me because she knows a bit more about the permit process than I do. But it actually is not even that easy to get the business license permit as well. So
For
it
the
seems like there's still,
farmers
there's a lot of barriers.
there's a lot of barriers.
There's a lot of
There's a lot of
barriers,
barriers. And that, again, is something that I hope and that I think we can all agree is a big part of why we even do this work in the first place.
Exactly. You know, and yeah, going back to that and what got me into it is that, you know, to put it shortly, since high school, I was looking at things microscopically, you know, being in the Biotechnology Academy, working in lab science. And once I learned about public health and realized that they look at things at a bigger picture, thinking upstream, you know, going further of like, let's just say COVID, for example.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's one thing, sure, to, right, like, invent the vaccine, looking at COVID, seeing like, oh, what can we do to create a vaccine for that? I think it's even more important to talk about like, how are we going to get these vaccines to people? What about the distrust in America with the government and with their health and access to healthcare and all this type of stuff? And, you know, thinking on a bigger level and also like how COVID really affected mostly Black and brown people. And for example, how like some Walgreens say, oh, we give free COVID shot, but then they're asking for your ID. Like how is that accessible, or really promoting that you're going to help these certain communities and also address their fears and building, again, that trust. And so that's why at the end of my freshman year, I ended up choosing to change my major into global public health and have a minor in leadership. Again, leadership has just been something I've always just been passionate about in terms of embodying. You know, I think it's more than just, you know, a position, a role. It's really a behavior. And it's about building trust. You know, great leadership is about, you know, instilling trust into people where you're getting great results. Because that's what it takes to be a leader, people to trust you, people to lead, you know. And so going back to that, when I was in college and stuff, and at first I wanted to do health policy, but then I don't know. I think that, the pandemic happened. I spent my last 2 years of school online and again had another little major career crisis, like what am I going to do? And again, asking myself, like, whose standards am I fitting? Am I fitting my professors? Am I fitting my parents? Like, this is my life at the end of the day. And if I'm going to work for like almost half my life, it better be something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I care about pay, like, you know, I care about how I feel when I show up at work and the energy that I put into it. That's just who I am. And when I thought back to it, I thought about, what are the things I love? Well, I love to take photos. I love to be creative. But I also love public health. And that's sort of how I came up with the idea of like public health communications and marketing. And additionally, I took a life design class, which was about how to design your life, how to design your career. And
There's a class for that?
yeah, there's a class for that.
At Dominican?
Nice.
Yeah. You're required to take like a life class at your senior year.
Very cool.
And I chose life design, which was for people who were trying to go into unconventional careers. And at that time, there was like nothing in terms of public health communications and marketing. I just saw there was a need for it because there was so much misinformation going on online about COVID and people taking advice on that. And it's like, whoa, this is like not okay. There's people are being like uninformed, people practicing things that are unsafe, putting people's, you know, health at risk. And also like, what I took away from that class is this quote, which is the path you walk is the path you take. And it's about the fact that no matter where you go, no one's career is ever linear. And you can design it. And the way you do that is continuing to put that energy out there. So I wanted public health communications and marketing. I got a job at Boys and Girls Club of San Francisco to be on their marketing team as soon as I graduated. Great experience in terms of marketing, but I didn't have enough hands-on with youth, and I discovered that there. I wanted more hands-on with youth.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be more relatable to public health. And so then that's how I found my internship with Marin 925. And that was through my public health mentor, Mo Dineva, who I connected with my sophomore year of college.
Oh,
and
yeah, Mo.
So she's been my femtor
Oh, yes,
since
I remember
sophomore year.
Mo introduced you to us.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, and she's the one that has been hooking it up for me.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, Mo. All love. She was the one that hooked me up with my RX Safe Marin internship when I was in college, which is now called OD Free Marin.
I did not. Why did I not realize that? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it used to be called RX Safe Marin, and now
OD Free Marin.
because they realized that back then the issue was like with opioids. Now with OD Free, it's like more about fentanyl.
Yeah. And it's not prescribed.
Exactly.
So it's not an RX.
But I was there in the beginning.
Yeah. I did want to express that I think it's awesome how, after college, right, you kind of got these opportunities. And then once what I want to encompass here is that, because for me, when I finished college, I was like, okay, I just want to work in a studio, basically. I wanted to build my own music studio and just record people. But then I found out that this nonprofit, the Multicultural Center Marin, I didn't even know what a nonprofit was when I got out of college. Because for me, when I was in school, I never actually really participated in that much community stuff. But then I learned what a nonprofit was because of the opening position here at the Multicultural Center Marin. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't really exactly know how nonprofits work. But then I realized, like, oh, I get to work with a lot of people in the community. And I think going out of college, like getting my bachelor's, being the first in my family to get a bachelor's degree, I think helped inspire me to like, okay, maybe I do want to continue to help out this community here in San Rafael. And I've come to grow in the now 3 to 4 years that I've been working here now, that it's really, it feels really good to be able to connect with so many different people, and especially with youth, and be able to meet so many different people, community members. Like, again, I would have never, ever expected to be in the position that I'm in right now when I was fresh out of high school.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so crazy to me because literally a year ago, I was just like, I want a job where I can work from home most of the time, have an amazing boss, and like also just working with amazing team, and working with youth, working in marketing, working on these wellness campaigns, and it's just like and applying my public health knowledge to that. Like, that is not listed anywhere, but your girl made that happen through just telling people about it, through telling Mo, through telling, her telling other people, and, and just putting that energy out there. And it's just been super rewarding to know my hard work has paid off. And yeah, as soon as I graduated Dominican, I did start my master's program at University of Nevada, Reno. And that was done online. I did not commute.
I was going to say,
that was done online. And so working 40 hours a week while doing school, like 10 hours a week, it was a lot.
Oh, wow.
How long is a master's program typically? I guess.
So
for yours.
So you can do 6, 7, or 8 semesters. If you do 6, you graduate in 8. If you do 6 semesters, you graduate in 2 years, but that's if you have no job. And then if you do 7 semesters, you take 2 to 3 classes a semester, and that's if you have.
Is it by
40 hours.
It's by semester?
Yeah.
So wouldn't 6 semesters be like 3 years?
So I don't have summer break. You go to school winter, spring, summer, fall, and the longest break I had was only winter break when we had like half of December through January off.
That's a lot of commitment.
And so between that, it's only 2-week breaks between each semester. Yeah.
I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh my, don't think I could do that. So what did you do?
So, and then 8 semesters is if you just take one class per semester, like just one class. I did 7 semesters, and that took me 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
And I was just like, well, I don't want to do 8 because that's going to take 3 years. And I don't know. I had a goal of like getting my master's before I was 25. So, and
you accomplished that.
And I did. And what's
Good
crazy
job.
is that with Mo, we made my 5-year plan in 2019, and you know, it gets me emotional. I was like, oh my gosh, I accomplished everything I said. And which was like, I wanted to get my master's. I wanted to move out I wanted to live on my own. I wanted to have a successful career and something
If
that
you
I
just
wanted.
keep saying it, it will happen.
Yeah, you know.
That's why I gotta watch what you say, because then if
exactly.
you say something negative, then that could happen.
Yeah,
So,
and I think a big part of it is the community I made here, and you know, and that was through Dominican, and on top of that, you know, and I want to speak on, you know, your experience here. I think what a lot of it is the people here, they really want to see you grow.
Yeah.
You know, and there's not many companies, you know.
That's what I love about
that's a good thing.
Multicultural Center.
Yeah,
that
the
are
Multicultural Center
invested in you.
and the Marin County in general is that we're such a tight knit community. All the nonprofits know who they are.
Yeah.
Once you like, there's a lot of nonprofits here, but you kind of know them as you go. Especially like, again, like being able to be part, like I know who Mo is, right? But it's like crazy that I even know that, because the nonprofit community here is just so tight knit, and there's just like so many different people that you get to meet day to day that you get a lot of like
Yeah, crossover.
Exactly.
And it's all connected, man.
Yeah, I mean, Marin is also so small. Like,
Yeah.
if you meet someone, they're like, "Oh yeah, I know like your brother." Or something that always happens to me. I like meet someone, they're like, "Oh, I know your brother." "Oh, I know your mom." And I'm like, such a small county.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm sort of in like my next era here in Marin, because I felt like, well, I mean, my last 2 years of college were online, so
How was that? Because I feel like when I've taken online classes, I feel like I can't do them.
you know, for me, and I'm very lucky, it was a blessing, honestly. I was already at that point like not wanting to go to class, because at that time I was living in Nevada, and even from Nevada to San Rafael, that is still a commute, okay, especially in the morning. Like, and again, it's a small town, so I'm like, I'm tired of seeing the same people at school. And then boom, and also it was really interesting because being a public health major during that time, we were tracking it, and we were like, oh yeah, this is gonna hit here, like, and what are we gonna do, and talking about the future, and from a public health lens, it was super interesting. And having my school be online was honestly a blessing, and it was great being back. I don't know, and it was also nice here in Marin during the pandemic. And then when I graduated in 2021, I moved to El Cerrito, which was also nice because I was like, okay, I don't have to live in Marin anymore, because not that living here is bad, it was just expensive.
Yes.
And also that's another thing is like, you know, housing here in Marin is crazy, especially if you are a student.
It's awful. It is awful.
Yeah. And so, and then also through doing school online and being like, oh my gosh, I graduated, I did this, I got good grades, I can do my master's online. And what's different with my master's program is that I didn't have to attend class or anything. I just had assignments due every Monday and Thursday, and it was just on me when I wanted to read the lectures and everything. So, learning how to time manage, you know, was also a skill I ended up, you know, having to gain. But I think not just, you know, getting my master's, you know, was a good thing in terms of increasing my public health knowledge, but it also increased like my knowledge in terms of time management and being able to handle multiple things, because, you know, working at an organization like this, as you know, you just wear many different hats. But again, I think what comes down to it is the heart of it, you know, the root of it. And I feel like now that I'm working in Marin, it's really cool, because I'm like, oh, I have like a new beginning here that's not just school, and you know, and now with my career and feeling more involved in the community than I ever did before.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. And sadly, we are out of time, but I want to let you share any last thoughts you have that you want to share with Marin 925, anything about yourself.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for having me on this
Thank
podcast.
you for being here.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I want to give a shout out to Find Your Way and all of our amazing youth who are a part of that team. Shout out to Blue Path Health. And I would just like to give a shout out to, the community here in Marin. And again, appreciate everyone who shows up to work with these youth every day. I truly believe that as long as we heal our youth, we can heal our future.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I agree 100%. Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Gabby.
you so much for being on the show. And it was a pleasure to have you. And we wish you the best with everything.
Thank you.
We hope to work with you soon as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.